Hello everyone, this is Candice from Totem Hair. Today's video is all about how to colour your roots. So I know that quite a lot of people are getting very self-conscious about white hairs that are coming through, and especially if they have Zoom calls and things with colleagues. So this video will help you to use a systematic way to colour your roots, so you don't miss bits, and also so you get a good application that doesn't end up going too dark on the ends, as is the case when people do home hair colour often. This video is not really suitable for people who want to colour their hair from scratch, from natural all over, or people that want to try a new colour. This is for maintenance of the existing colour. It's also not really suitable for people who have kind of blended away their grey hair using highlights and lowlights, because this does give you quite a different effect from an overall tinted look, and it's probably not a great idea to start mixing the two, because it could get quite costly to change this professionally once the lockdown is lifted. The simplest and easiest way, to be honest with you, to deal with roots during this time is to get a temporary colour. There is a company called Colour Wow, and I would recommend it. It looks like a box of mascara, and you actually put it on with a kind of brush, so you can put it on the visible parts that are white coming through, and it will stay on the hair. It gives a really nice coverage. And until you wash it, it washes out every time, so you have to redo it every time you wash your hair. But that is actually a really good solution if you just need a temporary top up and you don't want to risk colouring your hair the wrong shade. So if you still want to tint your roots, and I'm talking more to people now who regularly do their roots themselves at home, or who go to a salon and have their roots tinted every few weeks, we have a couple of options. If you normally do go to the salon, you could consider contacting them and asking them for the formula that they use. You can order those products online. It might be a more costly option, and what you might have to order is a bottle of developer and a tube of tint like this. And then you'll also need some scales that are correct to 1 gram to weigh them out. Probably an easier option is to go for an over-the-counter kit like you would get at Boots or Superdrug. I don't use those kits, so I cannot recommend a particular brand, but some of the more well-known high street brands would probably be the best to go for. If you do choose to go for an over-the-counter kit, possibly try to match the colour to your natural, or the colour that you desire. If in doubt, err on the side of slightly lighter, because lighter colours are always a lot easier to go darker when you do go to the salon, whereas darker colours can be a little bit difficult to shift and turn lighter. So if in doubt, err on the slightly lighter side. It might depend on the brand that you use as to whether you're allergic to that product or not. So unless you have used that exact same product on your skin in the last 3 months, I would recommend that you do very strongly recommend that you do a skin patch test before you apply the colour. You can do that by mixing a little bit of the tint in the tube with the developer cream. You mix a little bit of that, a tiny bit of like a pea size together, and then you apply that to the skin, maybe on the side of the arm, and you leave it for an hour or two. You can put a plaster on it if you need to do other things, and then you observe that skin just to see if it's itchy, red, whether you have any kind of reaction to that. And if you don't, then you can go ahead and do your colour yourself. So the next thing you need to do is just to prepare your environment to tint. Now, tinting is really messy, and it's very easy to flick it on the walls and the soft furnishing. It's probably most likely to be your bathroom or your kitchen. Protect the surface with an old towel or a piece of newspaper so that you're not going to stain any tables or surfaces. What I've got here is a tint brush and a bowl, and this can be got from somewhere like Poundland for about £1, or in some branches of Boots and Superdrug. I do prefer this equipment to apply tint just because you have a little bit more control over what you're doing rather than be using a kind of applicator bottle. But it is up to you, and there's no hard and fast rules. So the other thing I do also use is sectioning clips. So these are also available in beauty stores, Boots, companies like that. And they're really useful because then you can section off the hair and work section by section in a very systematic way, and that'll mean that you won't miss any bits. The other thing you're going to need is a comb. So this is just a regular comb, and this will help you just to section the hair in a regular way. And I've also got some gloves here. It's quite important to have gloves because otherwise the tint will stain your skin, and it does take a day or two to get rid of. So you don't really want to be walking around with brown fingernails for quite a while. So the other thing is, of course, your clothes. So definitely don't wear clothes where it matters if you get a nice brown stain on them. So put on some old clothes, old trousers, and also protect the top of your clothes with an old towel, which I'm going to do now. As it's quite hard to see the back, I would recommend that you ask someone if you're isolating with them, or if you're living with them, then maybe they could help out with the back. It's just a lot easier. So I will be showing you on this tutorial how to do it yourself if you're not isolating with anyone. But overall, I would definitely recommend, if there's someone around, if you could just ask them to help you out with the back part. It's a good idea to just have a look and see how much roots you need to cover. So just place your hands flat on your head and go, okay, how much root can I see? Okay, I can see I've got about that much root. So what I'm looking, and get a visual guide of how much that is. So you need to cover that amount. Maybe cover a little bit more, just so that you actually get right, you really do cover all the white hairs. So try not to cover that much if your roots are only that much. This is because you don't really want to end up with a dark band on the hair. Every time you colour hair, when you colour on top of it, you can end up going darker in that area because colour molecules build up. So ideally, you don't really want to colour hair that's already been coloured. The mistake that a lot of people do when they home hair colour is they put their colour on the roots, and then they pull it almost straight away through to the ends, and they end up with the ends of their hair over time going quite dark, whereas the root colour is actually the right colour. So we're going to be doing this so that you don't end up with that build up on the ends, and you don't end up with any dark bands running through either. I'm going to be sectioning off my hair first of all. I'm going to be sectioning from the front all the way down to the back, and also then from the crown down to the top of the ears. And this sectioning pattern is called in hairdressing a hot cross bun for some random reason. But that is the pattern that we're going to be using. We're going to be working quarters of the head, and we're going to be moving through the different quarters and doing them one by one. I'm going to start with the comb and go all the way down the front. Now that I'm ready, I've got all my product ready, I've got my clothes covered, and I've got my everything ready to hand. I'm going to clip that like so, and then clip this out of the way like so. And I'm going to section all the way down the back like this. So here is the sectioning down the middle and sectioning down the back as well. So now that I've done the parting around the back, I'm now going to do another section from the crown to the tops of the ears and do the same thing with covering the part. So now you've got all quarters of the hair separated out, the roots done on those bits, and you're ready to work your way systematically through those sections. Now, whether you start at the front in these areas or at the back with these areas depends on how much grey you've got. So sometimes people have more grey at the front and around the temples, in which case you should start at the front because grey hair needs a little bit longer to suck up the product. If your grey hair is, white hairs are kind of diffusely spread out, I would recommend that maybe you start with the back, just because the back is the larger and more tedious part. So once you've got those out of the way, you can enjoy going for the front instead. But either way, whatever you choose, just start and be systematic and do these two and then these two or the other way around. I'm going to start with a diagonal section. Just draw my tint comb underneath and push this down and then apply the tint like so and literally lift that back. Then I'm going to come through with about another ½ centimetre of hair. You can also, if you find it easier, use a comb for this, but then you have to keep putting that down and picking up the brush, but it's whatever works best for you. So I'm putting that tint on there and then coming through again diagonally. So once you've done the front, just check the hairline, because especially in this area it's easy to miss a little bit, and come round to make sure that you've covered everything that you need to, and also check behind the ears as well. Now I'm going to start on the other side, do the same thing. Now I've finished the front, so I'm now going to move on to doing the back. As I said, it's useful to have a mirror just so that you can check yourself as you go along. Otherwise, it's a really good idea to get someone to help you out. I'm going to clip the front areas away just so that I can kind of see what I'm doing with the back. So I'm just going to maybe grab the ends of the hair and just sort of move them out of the way so I can see a little bit better what I'm doing. So I'm now going to start on this back area here. So it's going to be the same thing. I'm going to start with a diagonal section and I'm going to apply, just make sure that's nice and clean, and I'm just going to apply the tint down for about 2.5 centimeters. Once you finish the back section, it's a good idea to just check behind the ears and make sure that you've got all of this area behind the ear and just down the back of the neck. That's really covered. And then I'm just going to do this other side and we're done. So now I'm finished with all of the roots are all tinted, all the back is done. But the tint is not on the ends of the hair, so because I'm just keeping the tint where I need it. So I'm just going to do a final check around the front, just make sure the hairline is, that I haven't missed any bits, and also I'm going to check behind the ears as well. Now if you have found the back too difficult to do, just remember really all that's visible is the crown area, so you could just do the first few sections in the back and around the ears and a little bit around the back there, and you could probably get away with not even bothering with the back part until someone can help you out with it, or you can get it done professionally. So let it develop for the time stated on the packet, which starts from when you are finished with the application. And then if you want to take it off after it's finished developing, I would recommend that if you have skin that has a tendency to stain around the front, you gently just rub the tint in to the skin like so, and then what you'll find is that when you shampoo it out, it will come off the skin a lot more easily. So I hope this video was helpful. If you have any comments or questions, you can leave it in the comments box below. If this is helpful to you, or you think it might be helpful to someone else, please share and leave me a like button. All right, thank you and see you next time.